South Dakota's Summit League leading women notched another weekend sweep, but the split salvaged by the men might have been more important. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Coyote Corner. Well, with Western Illinois' upset of Omaha on Wednesday, South Dakota's grip on the all-important 8th spot in the Summit League standings got a little less secure. The Yotes, who'd lost 6 of 7 coming into the week, would get 2 chances to get that win back, with the first coming Thursday night against then first place Fort Wayne. Yotes looking for a little payback after dropping a 20-point decision to the Dons last month. Tyler Flack got his first start in almost 2 years in this game, and he made the most of the opportunity. Throws it down in transition to get things going, and on the very next possession, shows a little more finesse. Flack scored 11 first-half points. Just one guy put up more than him, and by more, I mean more than double. Fort Wayne's Max Landis, the reigning Summit League Player of the Week, was locked in. He hit 6 threes, finished the half with 24 points on 9 of 12 shooting. Dons up 6 at the break. Yotes turned back to Flack to start the second. He's the oop to Trey Norris alley. Take another look. Flack finished with 17 on the night. Norris had a pretty good night himself. Connects for 2 of his 16 points to bring South Dakota back within 10. But Landis could not be stopped. Get a load of this line. 15 of 21 from the floor, 11 of 15 from 3, 3 of 5 at the line for a career high and single-game school record of 44 points. Fort Wayne also set a school record with 23s as a team as they complete the season sweep of the Coyotes 95-82. Trey Burnett, who came off the bench for the first time in 57 career games at USD, led the Coyotes with 18 points, while DJ Davis reached double figures for the 5th straight game. He finished with 10. Fast forward to Saturday, Coyotes with a chance to complete a sweep of their own against Oral Roberts. ORU did not have the Summit League's leading scorer, Obi Amegano, in that first matchup, but they did this time. He hits a 3 here to make it 37-34 USD. Coyotes answered just before the half. Dan Jack with some shooter's touch. Jack scored 9 off the bench. Yotes up 6 at the half. And they would come out running to start the second. Off the turnover, Casey Kasperbauer finds Flack for the lay-in. 44-36 USD. Those rim runs were just starting. Kasperbauer again lobs it up to DJ Davis this time. USD's first 6 field goals of the second half were all layups. They pushed the lead to as much as 14 before ORU comes charging back. Albert Owens with the bump and the bucket. He had 17, and the Golden Eagles are within 10. And they kept chipping away. Amegano on the run plus the foul. He led all scorers with 26, and ORU is within 2. But USD would end the comeback bid right there. Oh my. Flack with another Showtime slam. Not a bad way to cap a perfect afternoon as he goes for 12 points on 5 of 5 shooting. And South Dakota brings out the brooms as they win at 91-79 for their first ever sweep over ORU. 6 guys finish in double figures, led by Kasperbauer with 17. Trey Norris added 15 points and 8 assists.
Coach preaches the process all the time and just focusing on getting better. And I thought there was no hanging our heads after the IPFW game. The very next day we had practice, we went to work, came together, and we played very loose tonight, I thought, as well.
Now that win was big for a couple of reasons. Not only does it put the Coyotes a game and a half in front of Western Illinois, but it also gives USD the tiebreaker on Oral Roberts. Craig Smith's 100 win as a head coach brought a lot of relief. Find out what he saw as the key to that much-needed victory when we come back.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to Coyote Corner. Jay Elson and Craig Smith now, head coach of the USD men. And Craig, you got your week started with Fort Wayne. You knew that was coming on Thursday night, but something of note actually happened the night before. Western Illinois picked up its first league win with an upset of Omaha. That pulls them, of course, a game closer to you in the standings. Did you guys, after that, sense any extra pressure, knowing, kind of what was at stake with that 8th spot?
Not really. I mean, we can only control what we can control, and I think that our guys put enough pressure on themselves to have high expectations no matter what. And in this league, anybody truly can beat anybody. So it is what it is, and all we can control is our attitude, our effort, and our execution. And that's all you can do at that point.
Well, as you got to Thursday night then, there was one pretty noticeable absence when you guys took the floor. We learned right about then that Shai McClellan had been suspended for the night. That's 30 minutes and 12 points a game that's suddenly not available to you. So what can you tell us about that situation?
Yeah, Shai's suspended from the team for reasons that will remain confidential at this point. And if things change, you'll be the first to know.
I appreciate that. Well, there was one other change to the lineup as well in terms of the starting five. Tyler Flack gets his first starts. It's March of 2014. It's something that a lot of people have been waiting for as he's continued to progress from that injury situation. And he starts in place of Trey Burnett, who comes off the bench for the first time in his Coyote career. So take us through that decision. Why the change?
We don't change starting lineups a lot. Trey Burnett had started every game up to this point in his year and a half at the University of South Dakota, but he's been in a little bit of a funk. And sometimes just getting a different look, maybe a different perspective, can really spark your team first and foremost, and maybe spark that individual. So both those guys I thought had pretty good weekends.
Yeah, from an individual standout, yeah, both of them played well. Trey did well off the bench. Actually, your leading scorer coming off the bench for the weekend. So pleased with what you saw in that first two games?
Yeah, by both of them. Tyler Flack's got to work on. There's so many things he does well. He's always had issues with foul trouble, and we got to clean that up, certainly. And Trey, I thought, really handled it well and came out ready to play, and we need his scoring punch if we're going to be able to get to where we need to go.
We've got to talk about Max Landis because this is...
Do we have to?
Yeah, we do. Not the kind of performance you see very often by the reigning Summit League Player of the Week last week. 44 points, couldn't miss, and it just didn't seem like you guys could figure out any kind of answer for him.
We threw about everything we could at him, and DJ is a very good defensive player. He was fighting about 103-degree temperature that night, and so he was a little bit behind on some things, wasn't quite himself, but more than anything, Landis was just really, really good. And you got to give the kid a ton of credit. Their team was looking for him, but they all shot it well. They had 9 other threes besides those 11, so it was just one of those nights.
Well, you had to put it behind you in a hurry because Oral Roberts came to town then on Saturday, and the key word here in this game turned out to be balance. I mean, you ended up with 6 guys in double figures. Was that as complete a team effort as you've put forth this season?
You know what? We look like we did early in the year. We were really sharing the ball, and I thought that way the whole weekend. Even the Fort Wayne game, we were down 8, as bad as it was with 10 to play. We couldn't get any stops, but we had some wide open looks that just didn't fall. And I thought we really shared the ball. We had pace again on offense. And it was fun to see the balance. Early on in the year, we had a ton of guys. Remember, at a time we had 5 guys averaging double digits. And things have kind of gone south on us again. And I thought that to have 6 guys in double digits and almost a 7th, with Jack having 9, was very, very good. And I like the way we're trending on that side of the ball.
So given the way that things had been going coming into Saturday, how big was that win?
Well, it was a huge one. I mean, you just start getting a little dazed and confused a little bit. You get a little punch drunk almost, and that can happen in this league. And to the guys' credit, our guys have really stuck together. We haven't seen a whole lot of, attitudes or it's my turn. We had 3 of the best practices that we've had really all year leading up to this weekend, and that says a lot about the character in that locker room.
Finally, it was your 100th victory on Saturday against Oral Roberts. That's kind of a fun deal. The next day, a picture starts circulating on social media before win number 1. Can you take us through that hairstyle? Or?
Well, I mean, you can relate.
I can,
absolutely. As ball guys, got to hang on as long as we can. And I was truly hanging on in that picture. We could go a lot of ways with that thing. What an incredible tan. That really pale, receding hairline does wonders. But all I can say is I've aged pretty well, relatively speaking.
I think so. I mean, you look like my 6th grade social studies teacher in that picture.
Yeah, it's funny.
A compliment.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. But what's fun is when the players come over to our house and they see our wedding picture and they're looking at me like, wow, were a semi-good-looking guy back in the day, you know. And the players have a lot of fun with that.
I'm
so,
sure.
Yeah, Father Time catches all of us,
Yeah,
but we'll
does.
never be younger than we are today, Jay.
No, absolutely. Good way to look at it. I like it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for your time again this week, Craig, and good luck to you against NDSU and State, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks, Jay.
All right. Well, the Coyote women got awfully stingy in Denver on Friday. We're going to give you the details after this.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
The USD women continue to own the top scoring offense in the Summit League, but it's the effort on the defensive end that has been the biggest key to the team's recent run in conference play. Coming into last week, the Coyotes had held 4 of their last 5 opponents to 60 points or less, which helped them extend their season-best winning streak to 7 games. But Friday, Amy Williams' team took things to a whole new level in Denver. The Yotes were 1-2 all-time in the Mile High City, and it looked early on like they might have their hands full again. Early first quarter, it's Caitlin Duffy getting it going from outside. Same spot and the same result for the junior on back-to-back possessions. And Kelly Stewart with the jumper from the elbow with time winding down. That gave USD an 18-15 lead after 1, but it wouldn't stay close for long. A big reason for that was that Yote defense we mentioned. Stewart gets the block on Paige Bradley, then knocks down a 3 at the other end. She finished with a game-high 13 points, 1 ahead of Margaret McLeod, who put up 12 on 5 of 7 shooting. Nicole Seekamp would not reach double figures in this one, but she would dole out 6 assists. She'd also give us this glorious pass fake and jumper on her way to 7 in the scoring column. The Coyote bench would play a big role in this one, too. Every Coyote would play at least 10 minutes, with the reserves combining for 36 points. USD outscores Denver 61-18 over the final 3 quarters to earn their 8th straight victory, 79-33. DU's 33 points equals the lowest point total allowed by USD since they held Tabor of the NAIA to 16 all the way back in 2011. Not surprisingly, no Pioneer would reach double figures. 2 days later, the road trip would wrap up at Baxter Arena in Omaha. The Mavs had given USD fits in their first meeting in Vermilion back in January, but there was little evidence of that in the first half. Ty Heemiller would set the tone with a strong take to the rim and the finish. Then it's defense turning into offense. Allison Arns with the steal. The dish ahead to Seekamp, who threads the needle to Abigail Fogg for the lay-in. That was the start of a big night for Fogg, as she'd come off the bench to put up a career-high 14 points in 16 minutes. Yotes would lead 31-16 at the half, but Omaha would come out firing in the third. The Summit's leading scorer, Michaela Shaw, would key the comeback on the strength of not 1 but 2 and 1s in the quarter, sparking an 18-4 UNO run. Remy Davenport with a long triple here. That gave the Mavs the lead at 42-40. But just when it felt like the tide had turned, enter Seekamp. The senior would drill this triple to put the Yotes back in front, and they would never trail again. USD outscores Omaha 26-11 in the final frame to earn a hard-fought 70-55 road victory. Seekamp only 5 of 16 from the field, but she still finished with 14 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals. The bench proves big yet again, as along with 14 from Fogg, Jasmine Trimboli contributes 13 points and 5 boards, while Kate Liveringhouse goes for 6 points and pulls down a team-high 7 rebounds. So defensively, 7 out of 8 quarters, very strong for USD last weekend, but it's that one that didn't go well that has Amy Williams a little frustrated. We'll talk about that with her when we come back.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to Kyle Corner. Jay Elson joined now by the head coach of the USD women, Amy Williams. And Amy, we've been talking a lot about defense lately, and that's where we're going to start again because, frankly, it was pretty good again. You held Denver to 33 points on Friday night. That's the lowest total you've allowed to an opponent since 2011. What was the key to getting that done?
Well, it's just really our team buying into playing in stances, being ready to play, having proper positioning, and really committing to that. And I thought before we headed on this road trip, we knew that it was going to take a great defensive effort, tough road trip, and our kids really bought into that and committed and locked in defensively.
And with the way this game unfolded, you were able to use a lot of different rotations, but even with that, Denver was still not able to get into any kind of rhythm offensively. What does that say about your team's level of preparedness when you can throw a bunch of girls out there that might not play together a lot and you're still that good defensively?
Well, the best thing about this team right now is that our bench is just really wanting to find ways to contribute. And every time they come into the game, they're competing and they're trying to find their way, to more minutes, and they're buying that with defense. They're really just kind of locking in and wanting to contribute on that end of the floor. And that's, we talked a lot lately about this time of year when you can get contributions off the bench, that's going to be very good for our team and our successes.
Well, you picked up right where you left off on Sunday afternoon then in Omaha. The Mavericks mustered just 16 first half points against you on 7 of 27 shooting. The difference with this game is UNO woke up. They put together a huge third quarter. What changed?
I thought we just kind of weren't quite that same level of intensity to start the second half, and they punched us twice before we kind of knew what hit us, and we had to wake up pretty quickly, and it was really good for our team, though, to have to overcome that and find a way to lock in and correct some things that needed to be corrected and bounce back and still get a win.
Yeah, I mean, they got you wobbling. There's no question about it, but they weren't able to knock you down. You come back, big fourth quarter. Abigail Fogg was a huge part of that. So how did you do it? How did you get that turned around that quickly to come away and then pull away for a 15-point win?
Well, we really just talked about the things that needed to happen, and we felt like our ball pressure was a big key there. In the third quarter, it kind of was a little lax, and we picked things up there to end the third quarter and more importantly into the fourth quarter, and we got a lot of deflections down the stretch and made some deep plays defensively that sparked it.
Well, we talked about Abigail Fogg already. She was one of two bench players that had some big-time performances for you. She had 14 points in 16 minutes. Jasmine Trimboli gives you 13 points. Together, they were 12 of 21 from the floor. Extremely valuable on a night where, say, Nicole Seekamp goes 5 of 16.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great contributions from those players. We know we're capable of that. We have lots of players that are capable of that. And Kate Liveringhouse off the bench, just very limited minutes with foul trouble, but came away and led us in rebounding, 7 rebounds, had a huge offensive rebound putback, and those bench performances are what have been really defining us and giving us a spark.
Up next, get a chance to avenge that one league loss. Oral Roberts comes to town on Saturday. What has to go differently this time around?
Well, it would be really nice if we don't shoot 28% from the floor
help,
again.
right, yeah.
But that's really a credit to their defense. They're very good at keeping the ball in front and making you take contested shots. And so we're going to have to find a way to attack their defense a little bit better this time around.
All right, well, good luck, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, well, it took a lot of work in a very short window, but Bob Nielsen's first recruiting class is in the books at USD. We're going to take a closer look at South Dakota's very successful signing day when we come back.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back. Well, 7 weeks after he was announced as the 30th head coach in South Dakota football history, Bob Nielsen has secured his first haul of new Coyotes. USD received national letters of intent from 24 student athletes on National Signing Day, with another 7 high school standouts accepting offers of admissions.
Well, I feel really good. Our staff worked exceptionally hard over the last month to put together a really good class, a group that's very excited to be at the University of South Dakota, and a class that's going to give our program a great direction into the future.
A total of 12 states are represented in this year's class, with the highest number of athletes coming from right here in South Dakota. The Coyotes picked up a total of 5 in-state recruits in 2016, and while all of them put up impressive individual numbers during their high school careers, Nielsen says there was something else about that local group that really stood out.
The one thing that stands out is they all come from very successful programs. They're they're proven winners, guys that are going to come in and understand what it takes to be successful. They certainly are good athletes, but a lot of times it's those intangible things that really separate them, and I think that's the case with those 5.
From a position standpoint, it was an almost even split between offense and defense. South Dakota landed 6 defensive linemen and 6 wide receivers. They added 5 to the offensive line and linebacker groups, 4 defensive backs, 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and 1 running back.
2 things were a focus. Number 1 was to find a little bit more speed in our perimeter positions, and I think this class represents this. I'm pleased with the athleticism that we've got in our receiving group, our defensive backfield group, and within our linebackers. And the other thing is you always have to build depth in the offense and defensive lines, and the class has both of those elements.
With signing day in the books, the focus now shifts to the spring. The Coyotes are scheduled to begin practice on Wednesday, March 30th, with the annual spring football game slated for Saturday, April 23rd. Quick check of the Coyote calendar before we go. It is rivalry week for the USD men. The Yotes will go for a 2nd straight win Thursday night as they host North Dakota State. Then it's on to Brookings for a date with SDSU on Saturday afternoon. Tom Neiman and Brad Newitt will have the call for you starting at 4:30 from Frost Arena. Meanwhile, just 1 game on the schedule for Amy Williams and company. The ladies will be looking for payback as they attempt to avenge their only Summit League loss against Oral Roberts. That one is slated for 2 p.m. Saturday at the Dakota Dome. All right, that is our time for this week. For Alex Heinert, I'm Jay Elson. We'll see you back here next Tuesday night for another episode of Coyote Corner.